Okay. Unofficially or officially, I am on the air. However, studio technology is, there we go, making sure that everything is in order. Studio technology is what it is. So I will be with you in just a sec. I am with you. I am always with you. Uh, Not an original line. Pop out, as some might say. Good evening. This is Reverend Sharon, and I am very pleased to be able to continue this uh, excursion into of the Lion's Gate. Is it's fascinating to me. This is probably the first year that I've ever shared this experience to this level with other people. Usually, I no pretty much stay to myself, but there are some wondrous things taking place, and one of those is the opening of my own heart chakras, which I don't have to go into right now because it's really irrelevant, but it is relevant in that because of that opening, I am able to share this much information with people who are interested in gathering the information. Not everyone cares about the Lion's Gates or anything else that has to do with them. But for people who are watching the shift as it is, following the different occurrences that take place, this is a moment to really and truly make observation. And so that's what we're doing. We are observing. uh, no question on that one. Um, to start off with, and I have my itinerary as brought forth from those who are assisting in what takes place for this shift. And I can, without any question, go ahead and say serious Syrians, because that is what today's day signifies. So before I go into an explanation of what in the world is the day out of time, which really comes from the calculation of the Mayan sciences, I will. Oh, hello, hello there, sweetheart. How are you? Good evening. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I had the
Can
mic away from my phone, from my face. So sorry about that. Okay.
I
Uh,
caught your show on archives? I have to tell you, you're so spot on
I beg your pardon.
with what I said. You're so spot on with what you're saying. Like I caught your show this afternoon, an archive from last night,
Uh huh.
because I totally forgot about it. And it was I was taking notes today, and it's just like everything that's coming in is just all connecting with everything that you're saying. Like the energy right now. I have had some really encounters um, here recently, and I'm telling you, it's exposing like a side of certain people that I would never have imagined. And that's exactly the message that I got. This is all about revelation,
Mhm. Oh
this
yeah.
energy. And it's, yeah, through the media and everything else. And they said, don't be surprised that what you're going to see is like, it's like kind of like what you were saying about that timeline split. It's like people that, are around you are maybe going off in a different direction, I want to say.
Mhm.
And you're going on your path, and it's like, I don't know, it's like the I just look at it like a timeline split. They're no longer like for my highest good. What I've learned, or wherever the karmic tie was, and now it's gone.
Most definitely. And it's, first of all, let me say, I do not remember a word I said last night. But that's okay. I was channeling the whole time. Uh, Good reason for doing that is that they had to convince me that last night was relevant. I was just saying a few minutes ago that normally when this day of the year comes around, I observe it by myself. I go into meditation. I usually just take myself off the radar. I've already done that 3 times this year, but it is it becomes necessary sometimes because if we allow ourselves to be distracted, we lose position, at least in our three-dimensional sense. It doesn't mean that we're out of sync or that we're truly out of position, but when we review things in third-dimensional reality, then we're way off the mark. But if you look at it from this is how things have to go in order for you to get to this next stop. Sometimes you have these people that you find yourself letting go. Well, they were in place when they were supposed to be, and so were you. It's like the saying that they have about you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs. And so, right, you can't make an omelet or cook anything to do with eggs without first breaking the shells. So you will find these beautifully perfect eggs, and all of a sudden you feel as if you're violating them almost if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, because the contents has to come out of the shell. And so in relationships, whether it's family or friends, associates, whatever, sometimes that the yolk of that relationship has to come out of a shell, which means certain things have to be said, certain things have to be done. And then you go from there. Then you can make the omelet or the souffle because there's new intel that's available. There's information. There's more substance than there was before. And well, of course, if we're looking at it from 3D, third dimensional, it may sting for a little while because we're not really there yet. But once we get there, and if we look at the positive side of it, we see that okay, this is okay. So this is this. So this is how a boyfriend or a girlfriend becomes a husband. You gotta go through. You gotta go through certain things to get to that point where they suddenly become, oh well, yeah, this is the one I should be with, kind of thing. So I'm trying not to go off target this evening because whoa, we've got a little bit more to contribute this evening. I've been in and out of meditation all day long. No. It's good for you to ask questions because, as I said before, usually I keep all this stuff to myself and I write about it. I wrote an article for N5D. I don't know if you did. Did you see it?
No, you.
I referred to it. I referred to it. I had to really cut it down in order to make it palatable for the editor. But I think the basic information is there and will be of assistance. And it's more or less what we discussed a couple of weeks back about cutting cords. So it's basic. It's the basic on that. And I even got a small fan club. People have started sending me emails about wanting to know how to make the wands, which I, share openly. Have no problem with that. Yeah, somebody told me a book may come out of that. So Whatever. Today is the day of Sirius, and they say if you go outside and watch the rising of the sun, you can see two suns.
Mm-hmm.
That is a reflection between um, the planet Sirius and the sun. And this is what I do in the mornings usually is I go out and I do my sun gazing, and I'm hoping that I'm still in this dimension, but I swear I saw two suns this morning. So I'm like, okay, was that suggestion? Sharon, did you suggest yourself into that, or was that actually two suns? It The images were there for longer than a minute, okay, because I stare usually directly into the sun. So um, it seems like that was the thing to do. So okay, we're going to start with the Om just to get us into meditation. I've been listening to the Namoringiyo all day long, but I'm going to just do do the Om right for this moment, and just take a deep breath through the nostrils and direct your eyes through lower eyelids. Direct them upward towards that space, that portal between your eyebrows. Some call it the third eye. We know it to be that space that is in place, in direct contact with our crown chakra. And breathe. And we say, and taking another deep breath, place the palms of your hands, if you're in position to do that, facing your abdomen. I suggest just a little beneath the navel. There is a chakra in between the navel, which is the sacral chakra, and then the root chakra. And just take a deep breath. And as you breathe in, allow yourself to release the Om when you release your breath. Om. 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 And breathe. Now, for this evening, one of the things that I am doing, you don't have to do this, Sherry, and I see that I've got one or two, whoops, I lost one, viewers. Uh, I, I informed a few people, so there may be people coming and going. I don't know. Um, as I said in my comments on Facebook, it's Spirit has already told me that it's not important how many people are listening. What is important is that the information is being put on the airwaves. You listen to it after the fact, and there are others that will do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What I am doing is I have a candle lit, a taper, and this is something that you can do. It doesn't have to be a taper. It can be a tea light, whatever type of candle that you'd like to have. And what you would be doing with this candle is allowing this to assist you in clearing your space for the energy of this particular frequency of light that we're experiencing right now. Your intention is the key. Allowing your intention to focus upon your heart, allowing that intention of heart to dwell within the space of divine source. This is the intention of what we are doing this evening. So this is a small ritual. We won't be on that long. Boy, when I hear the word ritual, I have to remember I'm not in church anymore. We're not
Yeah,
in
let me find
Kansas
the
anymore.
sweet grass
Yeah.
candle I love. Hold on, that I actually bought from the center.
Okay.
So I'm real big on essential oils. So anything I
Ah.
can, that's
Okay.
good. Sweetgrass.
So if you have, and sweetgrass is very good. If you have incense available or sage available, uh, light your candle. My candle has been lit for a bit. Light your candle and light your incense, and just allow the vibration of the frequency that you resonated with when you vibrated the Om. Let that be the frequency in your heart. And we are going to start. I have my tinctures. And for those of you that are not familiar with tincture bells, they're used in meditations. Uh, Sometimes they scare the dickens out of my cat, but um, this is also a way of clearing using the tincture bells. Um, this is a technique that's also used in Reiki when you are clearing the room before you're dispersing or channeling the Reiki energy. You would take the tincture bells, hold them away from you, unless you're using them to clear yourself, and you'd hit. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. You'd hit the tincture bells. And so we're clearing the space now for this marvelous energy, this
I can
energy
see.
that is a part of the Christ consciousness. So we have our incense going. Any gemstones that you want to use for tomorrow evening's final ritual on this is good to have around. Or you can put them outside. I do that myself. I put them in the trees or in the grass so
Yeah,
that they,
I just
yeah, right? And they energize immediately.
I put some rose quartz on some plants that had a little bit too much sun because it's really hot right now.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I came out and they're just sprouting up and making this beautiful like opening up, and I was like, oh, I just put some rose quartz on them.
Well,
So I also
it's a good thing to put, uh, if you have plants, put quartz crystals in, or whatever crystals or gemstones you have, in every pot. Uh, my plants right now they're having a conference on me because I have not been doing that. But normally you can put quartz crystals. They energize each other. They're both living beings. And so the crystals energize the plants, and the plants in the soil, they communicate and energize the crystals. So um, it is an excellent thing. Keep up the good work. That is fantastic. That's absolutely fabulous that you do that. Um, just for the people that aren't familiar with the day out of time, what the day out of time is by the Mayan calendar is the 25th of July, every 25th of July, actually. Um, from their calculations, the 13 moon calendar year is what they use, and they base the rising of the dog star or Sirius uh, with that observation. This is supposed to be a day of reverence, cultural appreciation for the concept that time is art. This is a free day, in other words, the day out of time realigns the 13 moon calendar to the solar year, and it realigns humanity into renewed appreciation of our own divinity. Now, you're going to find that the Mayans are not the only ones that have celebrated this. This is something that, well, by different names, you see that there are holidays coming up in different cultures. This is all because of the energy that is experienced during this time. It's a feminine aspect of nature, and it's very, very important that we maintain the balance of the feminine and the masculine. I don't really keep up with the Gregorian calendar because I know that it is off. It is way off by at least 24 hours, if not more. People who know me very well know that sometimes I do ask what day it is. And it's not because I'm trying to be funny or because I'm doted or senile, but I try to observe the the lunar calendar more, even though you and I know from Dr. Ayala that the moon is not real. It's not the one that we observe anyway. But uh, but that's beside the point. The point is that if following the Gregorian calendar, okay, get it out, Sharon. The Gregorian calendar, we're going to be off for a solar year. It's just yeah, it's at least a year. I was being facetious by saying 24 hours, um, which is why it's important that as we continue to shift, we try and pay more attention to the actual transmigration of what's going on. Um, Nobody has, as far as I know, has been harmed by the solar calendar being off its calculations. But when it comes to the day out of time, um, this is something that we should observe. One of the reasons being the energy which we can use to assist in manifesting healing or manifesting whatever it is that we need in this reality. This is a good time to do that. Time, no pun intended. Uh, in paying attention to the energies that are dedicated now, we can recognize and realize the fact that we ourselves are actually time lords. Oh, I couldn't wait to get that out. But we are able to manipulate and maneuver what we consider to be time simply because this is an ability that we have. It is a gift that is ours. And we don't use it, but it is real. We don't have to confine ourselves to calendars, actually. And if you study the Mayan culture, you'll see that they have a very different concept of calendars altogether. They've got, oh my gosh, they've got a calendar for almost every part of their life because they know that time itself is an appearance. It's not an actuality. And unless a particular event is a fixed point in time, meaning it would affect the source, the continuum, it can be changed. And that's, I think I mentioned that a little last night when I talked about deja vu. Okay, deja vu. I did not refresh my memory on how to explain deja vu, but bottom line, it is not what most people think it is. If you're experiencing deja vu, you are time traveling. You are not just going through uh, an experience of reincarnation or karmic energy. You have done a quantum jump, and your actual self will realize that and pull that in and blend it in. Oh, oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah.
You
Um,
went there.
I did. Oh, yes, I did. Okay. I'm trying to come back down, trying to come back to the planet. Um, how, well, I'm not going to say however or whatever because it is what it is. We are great beings of light. We have an enormous capacity and ability. We simply don't remember it. And from what I can understand, from what I can see from the intel from the Syrians that I have been hearing from even more and more lately, uh, the time is coming when, well, the time is actually now. The grid that will assist us in remembering is being built now. It's a full task. Uh, you're aware of it. Other people that I've spoken to are aware of it. But it is something that will assist us in going forward in claiming who we are as sentient beings. And so that it's going to seem a little rough sometimes. I've spoken to two different people in the last, three different shamans in the last 24 hours who are doing something similar to what we're doing right now, which is simply recognizing the day out of time, the fact that this is a specific time shift that's going on. I did not watch the sunset, but I know without question that if I or anybody who was paying attention to the sun will see that the reflection of Sirius. And yeah, it's out there. So bottom line, not a good one. I think I'll cut that from my vocabulary also. Don't like that phrase anymore. But the least we can expect in recognizing this particular time is a changing in not only our molecular structure, but in our cognitive abilities as well. Tomorrow, or say about maybe even when you go to sleep this evening, the dreams that you're going to have, make note of them if you can. Did you, Sherry, did you use that technique for remembering dreams that I told you about?
Yeah.
Did it
You
work?
know, and by the time it yet, by the time I don't know what it is, but I do so much like, you know, work where I've been reading stuff and I just get so exhausted. And I don't know if it's like they're calling me to go to sleep, because I told you I think I do a lot of dream work in my dreams. So I think it's like by the time I am out, like the minute I hit it, and then there are times I wake up that I feel like for sure that I did, you know, I was doing stuff. It's just like an
Okay.
instinctive feeling when you wake up. So I have not tried it. I did write it down, what you said. Yeah, one of these days, hopefully I'll get a chance. But yeah, I've definitely been doing, and also I was telling my daughter too, is isn't that when you jerk really violently, isn't it when I guess the astral body and your physical, sometimes it comes into, I've read that it comes in like maybe too quickly or something, and that's where you get that. It's you coming into.
Well, it depends. If your body's jerking as you're waking up, it's quite possible that the very last dream that you had was so. deeply ingrained in your mind. Um, for instance, I've had dreams where I would be in the middle of a battle, uh, which you pointed out to me that I'm a warrior. Yes, you, I appreciate your confirmation. I've known that for some time, but
Mhm.
I always appreciate confirmation. But I've had dreams where I'm in the middle of confrontation, and I do have a light sword in those dreams, and sometimes when I'm supposed to get out of the middle of a battle, I'll wake up the way you say, and it'll be in my memory, in my mind. Okay, something just went on. What happened? What happened? And it will be simply that my viewpoint on that is that my conscious and subconscious were working to keep me from being a bit traumatized. So they woke me
Mm,
up to keep me
yeah,
from
yeah,
being traumatized. Right. Uh,
yeah,
because I do my little rituals before I go to sleep, and but not always. Like you say, not always. Like today, in the middle of the afternoon, I was doing work for this, that, and the other, and trying to stay on point with what it was I'm supposed to be doing this evening. And it was like, go lie down and get some sleep. And I'm like, but I'm not sleepy. And it's like, but go lie down and get some sleep.
yeah.
And so when they finally won out,
Mm,
I, don't- I I'm gonna tell you, I can be so stubborn sometimes. When they finally won out, um, I went and got some sleep, and I recognized that I was going into meditation. And so it was quick, but I recognized it, and I went off into sleep. And so it's when you've come in for a purpose, and I think a lot of people are recognizing that they've come in for a purpose, that there's something that needs to be done. You can expect sometimes differences and things going on that may seem like it's out of the norm to you because we're so in our three-dimensional mindset, but actually it's very normal.
you mentioned the like I'm getting a lot of messages about gatekeepers and grid workers right now, and the thing that
Yeah.
was sent to me, I'm supposed to be doing, yeah, grid work, and I was given very specific instructions about how to do that, how to set it up, what I'm the attention, what I'm supposed to do with the hands, everything. Um,
Hmm.
which interestingly enough, I was supposed to be out of the country on Sunday, so I'm still here, right? So
Hmm.
it so happens that it worked out now that I won't be going till after the eclipse. Now, I made this very specific before I made those plans. I need to be back by that eclipse. I just found it interesting that now I'm being called to do this, and it has worked out that I'm going to remain through this. So I believe there's some work I need to be doing up until that point,
Well,
which is
there's you're not alone in that. Like I said, I've spoken to 3 shaman in the last day or so, and this day out of time right now that we're observing and allowing homage to is a part of it. Tomorrow will be the 26th, which will be the crack in the gate as it's opening, and this will continue on. I think next week, Tuesday, or perhaps the week after, it's going to be the full opening of the Lion's Gate. That's going to be August the 8th. And then the
okay.
culmination of that will be the 21st, when the solar eclipse takes place. So that's going to be
Mhm.
but that's going to be basically when the gate itself starts closing, or at least not closing period, but there's going to be a fluctuation in the energy. The energies right now, uh, from the day out of time sequence, as I said before, it is something that see. I'm hesitating because I'm trying to listen to what is coming in. Okay, um, the heart of divine source is radiating, and this is the prelude to the heart of divine source, radiating and emanating not just through one individual or one sequence, but it's according to how we perceive the light is how we will feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we take that, and hopefully we reflect the love that we're feeling, because oh my gosh, especially last weekend, the intensity of love that came through me last Saturday and Sunday, I couldn't go anywhere. It was incredible. And I know that there are people that have been feeling the same way. However, before that feeling came in, there was the release of the energies that were blocking or keeping that love emotion out. So this is the transition, and it's a prelude to more people learning how to do transfiguration. I didn't know you sent me a text that you had been listening to the shamans series that I sent.
Yes, I missed the 6 o'clock one, and maybe I can. Sometimes they keep those up for 24 hours.
They will
I
keep them
want
up
to go
for
back.
24 hours.
Yeah, there was one I wrote down. It was at 6 our time on crystals.
Okay.
Down. It was like crystals in time or something like that. So I want to catch that one. But yeah, it was on. Actually, I caught the one about the guy was talking about all the ancient rituals and about all of the things. And I heard the same thing about like what they were explaining on the grid work, that a lot of they want us to actually put them in the ground, back in the ground, pointed up,
Mm-hmm.
and activate it. And they said connecting, and then down into the sacred sites, because they said there's a lot that are still buried underneath
Mm-hmm.
that will be surfacing. So I guess that's what we're trying to do, is connect, connect with not just like the inner, the crystalline heart, but also some of these sacred sites that I guess are going to rise eventually, because there is a lot of prophecy, I guess you call it, that, a lot of these sites will be coming back up.
Oh yeah.
So
And
they're like reactive to me. And this is where I get, like you mentioned, the emerald tablets. This is what I'm getting, is a lot of that ancient Egypt and the pyramids and that energy that was there originally is being reactivated.
ah, yes, you got it. You got it. All right.
Because there's a guy that there's two guys from Australia. They're going to be actually doing a on the 21st. They're doing an energy thing from the King's Chamber in Egypt. It's going to be like a worldwide thing. I just found that interesting because they mentioned that whole thing, like you're saying about the halls of Amenti, and that.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's all to me, that this is the time, the time that a lot of this is going to be, which explains probably like you said about the emerald. I read that probably almost a year ago. And I got a lot. I met a girl from Egypt, and I just was grabbing like all this stuff. I mean, I've got the Ankh, I've got it in my meditation room, I've got all this stuff, but it explains why, to me now it's making sense why it's all coming at this point. And I went there as well. So I think there's something, like you said, that's with this, the portals that are opening, or whatever, this energy that's coming in is reactivating some of that. I know a lot of people that are going back to Egypt at this time.
Oh, I would love to go now. Now is a
Mm.
perfect time to be there as
Yep.
far as the energies are concerned. Uh, mm. Well, since I'm not sure now, I don't think I'd be able to go this year. Maybe I'll make it next year this time. Who
I was
knows?
just going to say, I actually told my husband I would like to go back. I don't know if I'm going to make it this year, but I leave it up to uh, the powers that be. You know, I'm going to be guided to go when when I'm able to go. But I definitely want to go back again.
It is an amazing experience. Oh, I'm not going to discuss astrally going there because we know what that's like. However,
I was,
uh,
I've been there that way,
ah, but
and it didn't look anything like it does now. It was much more majestic, but
yes, yes, it is. Uh, you remember me telling you about that day that I lost? I discussed that with a friend of mine who's a shaman. Well, she's one of the shamans I referred to earlier. And we talked about the transfiguration or shape shifting that every every being is able to access, but only those who desire it and they feel the calling for it, they go forth with it. But we're all capable of doing it. It's called transfiguration. What we don't realize, those of us who are doing it actively, is that we are supposed to take our bodies with us when we do that. And in the Emerald Tablets, one of the things that amazes me in the Emerald Tablets is that it teaches you, or at least gives you the format for being able to do that, shape shift or transfigure and take your body with you. Um, I had that experience. Remember that experience I told you about with my missing day? So, or maybe I didn't tell you about that one. That's okay. We'll discuss that one later. In the meantime, to continue on with
yes,
yes, okay, with the ritual. Now you have your candle lit.
yes, and
You,
incense.
and you've done the sage. We've done the tinctures, which I'll do again at the end of this.
Okay.
What you would be doing now, and I'm not going to call it a guided meditation, but it is a recognition of you and how you perceive time, removing yourself from the perception of three-dimensional time. It can be done, and today is the best day, the easiest day to do it by closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, putting your hands back into the position before that we did, going in with the You don't have to say the out loud. You can allow it to resonate from within. That's one of the things people don't understand about mantras. You don't have to. I mean, it when you say when you bring it outside of yourself. That's a better description, I guess. You are sharing that power with whoever is in the room with you, or whomever may hear your voice. However, learning to say it or recite it, vibrate it from within, from the core of your being. That sound of the om is at the core of the universe. So when you recite it from within, vibrate it from within, that frequency of energy is clearing out every molecule of your body. It's you are getting a clean sweep. And so in doing that, you're giving yourself a clean sweep right now. Taking a deep breath, focusing on what it is at this particular point in time that you would manifest within this day that does not actually exist. And let's see if I can break this down just a little bit more. This day, as far as time is concerned, is not. This is like a clean slate for which you can place any thoughts, any desires, anything that is for your highest and greatest good. Now, you can do that now. And take a deep breath, holding that breath for as long as you possibly can, and releasing it through parted lips. And breathe. Taking in the breath again, holding it, allowing yourself to feel the vibration of your breath as you breathe. There is a circulation of breath. As it is above in the lungs, so it is below in the abdomen. So you're sending your breath down into the abdomen, allowing it to circulate, expand, and emanate through every part of your being. And you breathe. Again, taking in through the nostrils, bringing the breath in through the lungs. As it is above, so it is below. Directing the breath down to the base of the abdomen, just above the root chakra. Bringing it upward through the larynx, releasing through parted lips. Once again, with your intention being that of removing yourself from 3-dimension and placing yourself at the highest level of reception, the very highest level of understanding, feeling the universal heart and directing that energy up through the fontanelle into the crown chakra and above into your Merkaba. And as you visualize the 12-pointed star, the Merkaba, above your crown chakra, allow each point of this sacred, most sacred geometry to emanate around you, surrounding you in the highest level, the highest frequency of energy vibration as you can possibly receive. Knowing you, I know that you've already cleared yourself before you got started. As I said, I've been clearing myself all day long. At this moment in time, we share this energy with the continuum, because at this moment in time, there are light workers on every continent of the globe that have cleared themselves and are in the process of working with the highest possible frequency of energy that can be imagined. Divine source, the heart of all there is. We are a part of the human grid at this moment. There are different levels of grids. And this particular level is magnificent because it is created by a network of individuals who are interested solely in connecting with divine source. Even if it's to manifest something in a three-dimensional sense, the fact that we're doing it through the heart of divine hearts, we are seeking out the love of divine love, so that whatever we feel and sense comes through the frequency of divine source. It radiates and multiplies the light for our highest being. And when I say highest being, we can be in several different types of moods. But the mood that we are most concerned with, the being of ourself that we are most concerned with, is that which blends the spirit, astral, light, physical, and emotional. Because we are infinite beings who for today have shed the three-dimensional reality. And we shall continue to work with that thought in mind, inhaling, holding breath, and observing the transition of that breath as we bring it forth through parted lips. And breathe. And for the next few minutes, just sit in that resonance of light and breathe. Okay. And take another deep breath. And when it is your heart's desire, you may open your eyes and recognize that you are no longer in that same space and time. Now that was only 2 minutes. Can you imagine what it must feel like to do 8 hours of that at a time. That is bliss. To
Although
me,
when,
that's
yeah,
bliss.
although when you're in that state, because I did there was a remote energy transference on Sunday, and it was interesting because it was done remotely, and it was for the new moon, and it was a clearing, and they said lay down. I did the whole sacred space, the whole thing. Interestingly, my head was to the south and my feet to the north, and you mentioned that.
Yes, it's in the Emerald Tablets. There
Yes,
is,
and I don't know what
yeah.
made me do that. That was the way I did, and I set a timer because they said do it for no more than that, 30 minutes, and it's enough. So I set this timer, and I have to tell you, I don't know where I went, but it seemed like 5 minutes.
It seemed like 5 minutes.
I went up, and I'm like, that was a half hour already?
Oh, that's because you went out of your body. One of the things, as I mentioned before, in the Emerald Tablets, you learn to take your body with you. And see, that's very important. And they mentioned that in the shaman series that you listened to today, the very first one. I don't remember her name, but she has been a practicing shaman teacher for at least 30 years. And she talked about how in the Mayan culture, they have learned how to take their bodies with them. But I guess because of the Western culture, where we leave the body behind, you don't have to do that. This is one of the things that we learn, that we're capable of doing so many great things. Oh my God. But you learn, and during the Egyptian period would have been I know why you're fascinated with that. That is a period of when the mystery schools really got into full throttle there, and it got to the point where people were being kept from the information about how to do these things, because in the very beginning we all knew how to do this stuff, how to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, grammatically incorrect, Thompson. But we all knew how to transfigure and shift and time travel, etc., etc. And because there is an ego that comes with, well, there were certain factors, but ego was one of them. We started isolating people and putting ourselves at the point where only a certain group would control the knowledge, and the people, or the masses, I don't like using that word, but the masses would be without this information. And this was one of the things I feel, if you check scripture, that whole scenario when the master, or Yeshua, turned out the temple. He did it because it didn't make any sense. The money changers were there because there were people coming from all across Asia or whatever that didn't have the currency to buy the sacrificial lambs and goats. The priests were requiring sacrificial lambs and goats before they would go before God for the people and put whatever it was, whatever our complaint or our boon that we were requesting. In other words, we were paying the priests to speak to God for us. And since we didn't have the correct monies, we had to go to the money changer first, and then we get the and so that doesn't even make sense. I would have been upset myself and probably gotten into just as much trouble, because I would have been like, what do you think you're doing? I can talk to God myself. I don't need you. And so I can see where I was born in the right time right now, because I would have opened my mouth and went and got into a lot of trouble. But that is where the mysteries, the Egyptian time period is when the mystery schools really got underway. And so you had to be from this house and that house to be able to share the knowledge of the emerald tablets. And so now it's come full circle. It's popular reading again, which is a good thing. And it's just part of a puzzle, actually. There's much more information than that is coming up. It's the crystals coming out of the ground. That's just the beginning. The grids, that's the beginning. There's so much that's going to be fit together for the puzzle that it is, because it's been broken apart. And so
Yeah.
now it's time for it to come back together.
Okay. Well, part of that, like, there's a lot of us that are receiving light language,
Hmm.
and being, I guess, cleared or reactivated. I was told that this is a soul agreement that you had. I think I mentioned this before. People that are drawn to that, they had made a soul agreement that those codes would be reactivated at a certain time. And
Hmm.
that's why those of us that are receiving that, that was the agreement that those codes would be activated when they were meant to. And the only time, like I said, I've seen it visually,
Hmm.
um, but for whatever reason, that's, I mean, does that resonate? Like, that sound right? That there's this is something that we agreed to, and that light language is as a form of activating certain codes.
It's one of the forms, and one of the reasons I sun gaze is because the sun, which is a portal, it's like
Mhm.
a doorway. The sun, there are codes that come through the sun, and if you look up at the sun early morning, you can deactivate the codes. You simply take, whether it's whether you do it in an invocation, or you do it silently to yourself. However, you put in the request, the codes are supposed to deactivate when you make that connection. And so I can see where, especially people who have a bit more extraterrestrial DNA lineage than others, I'm sure that everyone on the planet has it. But I'm thinking that those who seem to be more alert in certain things, they probably have a little bit more, which doesn't make them any better. It simply means that they contracted to have a little bit more so that they could get the work done with getting this grid together.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the reasons that the grid is important is because you remember the 2012 deal with the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Okay, I have a friend in Australia who is concerned about me because he says that where I live, I won't be able to get to the exit points because the sky is going to fall again this coming September on the 23rd. And he's sent me all this information. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how to preface to him that he's getting wrong information. I think I sent you something that he sent me, and he's been sending me more stuff.
Yes.
'Cause, yeah, he's been sending me more stuff. He's worried about me,
Yeah, I
and
was going to
he
say it
wants
came
me to.
across really like, yeah, gloom and doom.
Yeah, and he's concerned, and I appreciate that. He's bless his little heart. However, uh, I gotta break it to him that I'm not the gloom and doomer. I That's how I
Me neither.
started. That's how I started coming on the air. Was I was sitting listening to somebody scaring people half to death, and I was so appalled. And Spirit said, "You need to go on the air and tell these people the sky is not falling in on them." And I'm like, "What?" And it was like, "Yeah, you can do it. Go ahead." And I'm like, "I can't do that with that." And it's like, "Yes, you can. We got you. just go on. And I'm like, what am I supposed to say? And they said, do your Reiki meditation. Start out with that. And then just remind people to have faith. Talk some, we'll give you, and don't go on. I went on, and the very first caller I had was a lady in California who was also a Reiki practitioner. She was going in for her master training that week. And so we sat and talked for a good while, and she felt the same way I did. No, the world was not coming to an end on the 12th of December in 2012. And so, as you can see, we're still here. Maybe we're not in the right dimension, but we're still here. And so I believe that that's what's going to take place this year, as long as, and see what happened then that a lot of people didn't know about was that there are groups of shamans and light workers who sit together and send energy throughout the planet, holding the planet in light on a regular basis. I have been getting the nudge to start a group like that and put it on YouTube. So I'm working on that. This is going to take a little energy because unfortunately, gathering the people together is going to be the most challenging part. Everybody's got different schedules, different modalities. Some people you can't call them a shaman. Some people you can't talk to them unless you call them a shaman. So it's and so in other words, I'm leading to ego. I love you guys. I love you guys. I'm letting them know I love them even when I say stuff like that. I love you. You guys know I love you. But yeah, that's what's coming up the pike. And I'm past the 8:30 line, but that's okay.
They no, they have called, definitely called, and I got that message again today to not isolate yourself, because I have a tendency, like I told you about the malls and all that. I don't like going out in certain areas or in certain routes. Yeah, because it's negative. It's just I don't like the. It's like you said. It's almost like stepping into another, like that 3D world, but you're. I prefer to be that somewhere else and not into that. But they said, although that's part of what you're supposed to be doing. So you need to get out, but make sure you connect yourself with like-minded people. You have to have the energy that, you know, around you, even though I notice that more light workers, more and more I see this around the world is all remotely, like you just said, we can connect remotely and still hold that energy without physically being there.
That's right.
Like I know a lot of people love to go on journeys, and I'm dreaming of one too, that I can just like go off and, you know, in a mountain somewhere for about 10 days or something by myself, and I'm going to get there. But I think, like you said, that at this time, it's more about, which is why I think my trip was interrupted. It's more about holding it here and playing into what we're supposed to be doing. And there's definitely, like I heard about, we're all connecting to our soul families, or, whatever you want to call it, in our soul group. And that the work we're doing is, it's going to be, those people are going to be in your life at the time you're supposed to. That's what I'm seeing. So that's what I kind of was getting at about moving away from certain things, because I'm also seeing that, and I'm not bashing anybody that's out there doing healing and things like that, but I do see a lot of ego into that. And it's and I remember having doing a reading one time with tarot, and that's the one thing when I first started this, they said you have to be careful about the discernment. You have to discern, and you'll know instinctively by your gut whether it's they're in it for the light or they're in it for the money. And it just yeah, and it's definitely, even some of the people I'm finding out that things that maybe come out of their mouth is, it's a little bit taken back, because I'm like, but we're supposed to be unconditional love, but then there's a lot of like judgment and prejudice still out there.
And yeah, well, see, I wasn't going to go there because I know so many of those people.
Well,
I wasn't going to go there. I got a
just
couple of them and not even speaking to me right now. But you're absolutely, you're on point, as they say, or what is that other phrase? You're spot on in that. And
But
see,
isn't that the
that's
energy
going to
we're in right
change. That's going to change. What's going
that
to
we're in
happen
right
is either they will, what's going to happen, and they don't realize it, is that life is going to bring them around to a point where they realize that they're going to have to either stop doing it for the money or come over to the light side. And because the energies are intensifying. And I know a couple of mediums who, okay, they're reaching that point. They were doing things for just for the money, and they're reaching that point where it's like, oh boy, maybe I need to re-examine something. It's not even that God is like chastising or punishing or disciplining anybody, not in the least. When people are doing things only for the material value, it's if you're truly understanding that this is a spiritual aspect of your life, you will take an entirely different viewpoint of it. And so your soul, who came in with a contract, and bottom line, even if you don't believe in what you're doing, if you're doing it, regardless of the reason you're doing it, eventually it's gonna be like, gotcha. You're gonna come over to, you know, this stuff really works, kind of deal, because you can't play with it. It is universal. It is soul contract and soul to soul source is going to be like, once they start seeing the light and realizing, recognizing the light and going through those changes, it's going to be like, oh wow, I need to
well,
change my viewpoint.
that's why after I had all that, because I heard it was the energy is from July 23rd, the new moon, till September 23rd, with
Mm,
kind of like the point, the culminating, being the eclipse. But I heard this is all about because there's 4 planets in Leo, one in Sagittarius, one in Aries, so they're all in fire signs.
mm-hmm.
It's all about bravery, coming out, standing your truth, but that a lot is going to be exposed that will even shock you.
Yeah.
Starting to get already is I'm like, wow, didn't see that coming.
Oh yeah.
But I heard this is what's supposed to be coming.
Yes, it is. And no matter what you hear is coming, don't let it knock you off your path.
Right. You're right.
Okay, because what is it they say in scripture? There will be wars and rumors of wars. People are always going to have something because of that side energy or that dark energy. And I know that there are some people who embrace their dark side. I'm one of those people who observe my dark side. Okay, because I know that I got to keep track of her. She's very mischievous. She's been called a brat. And so I try and keep her on a good, on a short leash. And then there are people who they think it's, well, I can get away with this, da da da. So
I'm sorry.
don't uh, it's better to observe it, because when you just observe it, it's easier to pull it back in. If you embrace it,
Just
or
let it go. You know.
yeah, when you give it full reign, you're constantly trying to get yourself out of trouble. From what I have observed, yeah,
Well,
with
yeah.
me, yeah,
Well, that's where the attachment comes in, because, like you said, I've been doing that as I go to sleep. As what you just said about cutting those cords and not let. And I notice it is. I do see a definite is.
you see a difference.
Those attachments are going away. And you're right. It's all about intention. And no matter how you do it, is if you've got the right intention, I'm seeing that you can command that yourself.
That's right.
Those implants, get rid of that distortion, the attachments, whatever that no longer serves you. You're right.
See, in this,
But I got a real question on energy because it is, you know, so strong and all that. I've been having some really strong, like sharp pains in my ears, especially my left one. Go for a couple of minutes or maybe a minute or so, not really long,
Sharp
but
what?
really like piercing. Is that like just, you know, I guess because we're raising our vibration, is that like it's really coming in strong and maybe, have you ever heard of that?
You heard of it? I live with it. I've always lived with. I've
It's like
always
it's
lived with it. I've always lived with it. I first noticed it when I was growing up. I think I mentioned this to you. We only had one television set, so if I was somewhere else in the house, I could always tell if somebody had turned it on and didn't turn up the volume. I could hear the frequency. What you're hearing is the variations of frequencies. The frequencies are going to continue. Remember, this is a holographic dimension that we're in. It's one of the reasons it's one of the reasons that it's good to observe this day out of time, because you can spot the holographicness of the third dimension easier. I won't tell you what I spotted today or in the last 24 hours. But if you take your focus off this dimension, you will be absolutely. Some people, it freaks them out. That's why they try and stay focused in 3D, because they don't want to be able to see that their hand can go through the wall. Okay, this freaks them out.
And controlling, you know, like programming, like you said, they've been programmed to think, you know, they're going to run up against it and they're going to hit it and all that. Like you said, it's letting go of what you just said and just conditioning and just like going with it. As I've told myself about the releasing the fear has been my biggest thing
Yeah.
over the last year, I would say. And now it's gotten to the point, like I used to be so jumpy that I'd hear something in the house and I would just like jump. You know, I used to be like that. And now I'm just like, yeah, you know, and just kind of going with it. And it's just like you said, it's just given like that trust and letting go of the fear. I think that's what it is.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that I have been known to do if I start hearing things and seeing things move around the house. I will say, okay, who are you? What you want? And if I don't get the type of response that I want, which is for it to stop so that they can, meaning that they are leaving the room, and it continues, I immediately start telling them, you got to go. If you can't tell me who you are, what you want,
I
you
was
got to go.
but yeah, we create our own sacred space in our home and everything. And aren't you always like protected if you put that bubble of protection around you?
That's
yeah.
right. So you shouldn't be hearing anything at all. Though
right.
I know that in order for the Syrians to get through to me, she's putting this out on the air. In order for the Syrians to get through to me, they had to contact my brother, because they know that I don't pay him any attention. And my brother, who lives in Texas, called me when I was on my way back to Florida from France to what's going on? Blah 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 blah. I told you I saw this in your house before. Yada 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 yada. I said, slow down, calm down. What you talking about? So he described it to me, and when he finally gave me the name, I said, "Oh yeah, the Syrians. I know who they are." And so I said, "Well, if they're coming through to him, Mister Father to Spock, then it must be something that I need to check on." And I checked on it, and they delivered a message, and then something I was going to do that I had decided to do in France, they didn't want me to do it. And so we won't go into the rest of that. But it's because I know that I am protected. I know anything that I hear or see around me is going on outside. I have This is my sacred space. Every room in my dwelling is my sacred space. So I don't concern myself. And as far as the holographic images are concerned, sometimes you have to sometimes you have to ignore them. It depends on what you're doing. I was doing something one night and a cup started moving by itself. And I'm like, okay, I'm not ready right now. Just stay put. And it stopped moving. So it's like, I mean, if we took our focus off three-dimensional, we would realize that right now, actually, we're not even living in the third dimension. We're living in fifth dimension, but not acknowledging it because fifth dimension is a bit more transparent. And so many people have been taught against the transparent. Religions have been built around the transparent. So in acknowledging the transparent, it's like, aren't there enough people in the psychiatric wards? This is what this is where they're going with this. The first thing they tell you, oh, you need to take this, you need to take that. Oh, that's not real. Maybe you're schizophrenic. No, 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 no. None of the
No,
above.
I listened to a starseed the other day that she said that, and this has been going on since she was a child, that she said she can walk in a store, a supermarket, and stuff will start flying off the shelves. She's seen
Okay.
it happen, and her friend has been with her. So she said, it's just something that I've gotten used to now, and I understand where it's coming from, but the average person that was standing there would probably freak out.
Yeah. Yeah, they
And it's just
would.
it's capability, like you said, energies that but I think people, and especially movies, have done this. It's poltergeist. It's, weird demonic stuff. And I don't necessarily think that is. I think, like you said, it's just natural energy that we create ourselves. I mean, even when you were a kid, like you would move against, all those sparks that used to go in the blankets and stuff?
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Blue sparks, yeah, it's like we have so much anyway. And I think it's just like, coming back to the realization, like you can hold your hand up and you can clearly see your aura.
Yes, you can. I can see it sitting where I am. There's a sliding glass in front of me, and sometimes when I'm sitting doing this, I'll look up and I can see the outline. I have I still experience electrical shocks from my fingers, and then usually I just, ignore it because I know what it is, so I don't go uh, uh, like that anymore. But there was a time when when it first started coming back, I was like, now what the heck is this? And then I was some of the people I was hanging around with, they started discussing. I don't know how we got into it. Have you been feeling the electrical shocks in your finger? Well, we were doing a lot of meditation groups. It was at one of the churches where I used to have Reiki sessions, and we got so into it. It was like a meditation or energy thing going on almost every night, and so it got to a point where we were just starting to. I'm sure we would have started levitating if we had kept it up at that pace, and that helps to, yeah, that helps to, when you meditate, it helps to increase the energy fields. It helps to increase the frequency of the vibrations, the potency of the vibrations, and people, we're taught, well, you go to church on Sunday and you do this on Monday, and Saturday is no. See, this is why I changed my Sabbath to Saturday, because it is the actual Sabbath. It is actually Sabbath, and other little things that I do that I know is not the norm for everybody else, but I do it because I'm trying to bring that 3D information to a halt, because you get fed constantly, constantly. That's one of the reasons I don't watch television and I don't listen to radios, is they keep that 3D imagery going, and I don't desire it. I believe that eventually we will all be able to navigate as many dimensions as we desire. There's supposed to be 17. I have it on good authority by a gentleman I met a few years ago who took me through a couple of them. I've been through about 4 of them and hanging out. It wasn't the first time, but he assured me that there were 17 to his knowledge. There are probably more. The infinite is the infinite the universe is infinite, okay? There's no end to it. Universes and galaxies are constantly being created because of the fact that they can be created constantly. Divine source has not stopped with planet Earth. Why would you stop with planet Earth? There's so many, I mean, wonders. Black holes, which I think is probably just the abyss, but I have to do a little more research on that. And on and on. To me, it's fascinating. It is something that we need to remember so that we can stop trying to kill each other. It is not necessary. If we can continue to go to just, we could create our own. Uh-oh, here she goes. We could create our own galaxies and universes if we could remember what to do and remember to just remove ourselves from this imagery of three-dimensional. We can do some amazing stuff. And so that's what one of the things I'm looking forward to. And I don't believe I'm going to be leaving my body behind. I believe, and I have believed it since my teens. The very first book that I ever read was Cosmic Consciousness. And I stood up in the middle of the room and I said, I am going to ascend. And my parents looked at me like, oh, is she taking drugs? What's going on? You gonna do what? And because there's certain levels where funerals and funerary and mortuary, and they're so ingrained. What is the only business that has not ever suffered during any depression?
The funeral parlor.
Thank you. Okay. Banks go out of business. Hospitals shut down wards. Schools shut down schools. They shut down. You I have never heard of a funeral home going out of business for any reason. Okay? So that's the way we've been programmed.
I was going to say, except only in the United States, because all the other cultures around the world, they have a very simple, more more of a ritual, like you said, of sending them into the light. It's just we have such a morbid.
Yeah.
My kids have even said this. Just the whole like mourning process here, and not letting go, and making such a, like you said, and taking thousands of dollars for. And it's just such a distorted.
It's a business here.
Yeah.
I
Terrible.
I witnessed a funeral in New Orleans some time ago though, and I thought it was very, very well done.
Mm-hmm.
They did go to the cemetery with solemnity, but when they left, they were partying like you would not believe, and that is a custom that was practiced in most of the indigenous cultures in Africa. Now that they've been proselytized with the Christianity, anyway, I'm not picking on the Christians, I promise. I was raised a Christian, sort of. Okay. Anyway, it is after 9 o'clock, my dear. You and I have such great conversations, and I will probably give you a call tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last of this, and I will send out links and whatever. For those who could or could not make it, Deborah Kelly is having something special over at the Duncan Center for this particular event of the Lionsgate tomorrow. And
Who
I
is she?
think
Is
uh,
somebody locally on the
she's
internet?
she look for her on the internet. She is up in, well, she's closer to me, but I think she may be in Fort Lauderdale. But the Duncan Center is like almost down the street from me.
You know, it's
Um,
funny you mentioned her because somebody else a long time ago in my book, I sketch. I don't know if it's what it is. It just I have a tendency to scratch down stuff all the time,
mhm.
and I was flipping through an old journal or something, and I had her name scrawled.
Oh, okay.
Somebody had, yeah, mentioned her to me before. That's why I was asking if it's somebody that's here, maybe the center had touch with, because um, her name has come up before. But I'll definitely check it out.
She is a very gifted shaman, and
Okay.
also John Wolfe, who is authorized by the John of God uh, entities to be a representative or a medium. He's a shaman as well. He has great meditations on Saturdays. He's either doing something separate or he's going to be over at Deborah's. And then there is another friend of mine. She's a shaman. She's going to be over at Deborah's. I think the center is going to have something. I know a few people that will be there. They're in doing the work. What they may not realize or what they may not voice is that this is a human grid of light energy. There is also going to be a physical grid that we will be able to see for a split second. But the energy of what we're doing now is culminating to assist the light energy grid that, yeah, there's all sorts of things out there coming towards this planet. I understand that I've been sent that information. However, just like in 2012, they're not going to hit the here simply because there's enough people aware of what they're supposed to be doing and where they're supposed to be to make sure that this particular holographic imagery continues on until it is completed. And completed to me means when everyone has reached a level where they can decide if they're going to continue on with the hologram or create something different, something better. Ooh, that was that was not me talking just now. Okay, time to sign off.
Okay.
I'm going
Is it,
to, yes, dear.
as always.
Hmm.
I said it was interesting as always.
Okay. All right. Tomorrow, if you come on, make sure that you have all your crystals, uh, gemstones. We're going to
Okay.
clear. We're going to clear those for the new year, the new planetary year. If you can make a little pyramid for them, that's good. If you can't, don't worry about it. I did not get a pyramid together, but I've got so much copper and stuff in here that it doesn't matter. But yeah, we're going to focus energy on the clearing of the crystals as we are going to, the grid is building rapidly. So we're going to clear those up and then keep them around the house. If you
These are
feel,
not the ones because I was the ones that I was told to plant in the ground are supposed to be Arkansas quartz, which I have. So those that are supposed to go outside, not those. You're talking about ones that I'm going to keep in my home.
right, right. Also, uh, you could, if you want to, take a saucer or a glass of rock salt, sea salt, and put them in
Hmm.
the corners of the house. and that's a great clearing tool, especially around this time, to absorb energies that are not for your highest good, and you just get them away, uh, and it helps with the polarization of the energy field in your dwelling. So that's tomorrow. That's the final one, and then hopefully I can go back, if they let me, to normalcy next week. We're going to end this with oh gosh, okay. Can I do the Om Namah Shivaya one more time?
Sure.
Uh, I so I'm sorry. I just love that. Okay, take a deep breath, and in releasing it, release the Om. You don't have to do the Namah Shivaya. That's my that's my affectation. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Namah Shivaya Om. Namah Shivaya Om. Namah Shivaya Om. Namah Shivaya Om. And thank you so much for being who you are. And God bless. I'm going to ring my bells. Namaste. Om Shanti Shanti. I am, we are. God bless and
I'll
good
talk to
night.
you tomorrow.
Okay, dear.
Good night.
Good night.